Hey, this is Steele doing a demo review for NetcodeGuides.com. Today I'm going to be looking at Ogedai in one of his games. He is playing CT side of Dust2. I wanted to focus specifically on the counter-terrorist side as he went to the B bomb site and defended it most rounds. So without further ado, I'm just going to start up the demo here and we'll see how he approaches the round and everything that he does. So going into the round, he decides to get a smoke, a flash, and a nade, and that's really good if you're coming to protect the B bomb site. It's good to utilize a full nade set so that you can stop a rush. You can do a lot of damage with a grenade. The smoke grenade in the tunnels will make it very difficult for the terrorists to push out, and if they push out, you can use a flashbang to really help delay them so that your teammates can rotate and help you. Now, going straight into the round, pre-smoking B and pre-flashing, right there you've already used like most of your utility grenades. Luckily for Ogedai, the enemy actually tried to do a B rush, and because he got into this position by the Humvee and he threw that flash which actually blinded them, and the rest of the enemies are already like deep inside the tunnels where they can't actually do anything, like they can't see Ogedai. Ogedai's in a perfect position to actually surprise some of these players, get a few free kills, and wait for his teammate to rotate. So we're going to watch this round play out a little bit. So he shoots the terrorists as they're running out through the smoke. He gets a nice lucky kill onto Diak through the smoke, but then he goes down. So it's a very good round for him. It's a very good amount of kills. Now, this worked really well because the enemy rushed B, and the timing of everything worked out in a way that when the terrorists pushed in, Ogedai was in a perfect position to kill two of them that were blind, then two of them were pushing through the smoke, then you got free kills on these players. But the thing that is very crucial to remember is if the terrorists threw a flashbang at Ogedai and he got blind, or if they had armor and they were jumping around, it would have been very difficult for Ogedai to actually get multiple kills there, and trapping himself at the Humvee is very, very dangerous when you're actually playing the B-bomb site. This is a much better position where he is right now to actually hold the B-bomb site from, but I'd even go for further back in the bomb site, maybe big box on the platform or the back of the site where you actually have some form of obstacles to work with. You have the boxes to play around, to peek around as cover. Now, you saw Ogedai does this most rounds, coming to B, pre-smoking, and then bouncing a flash off the Humvee. Now, when you're coming into B, and specifically when you're playing a bomb site by yourself, what you don't want to do is trap yourself in a position where you don't have the ability to maneuver around. You want to be able to maneuver around. It's very important that you have a place that you can fall back to if you're getting pushed. If you're getting flash pushed, you're able to hide in an area where your teammate can come and support you. When you're putting yourself in the Humvee, every round, not only will the enemy kind of catch on that you're in this area, but it's an area where once you're spotted in that position, it's very difficult to actually make a play and get out of the position. So as we're going to see in this round here, Ogedai comes B again, smokes off the tunnels, throws that flash, gets into the Humvee area. Now, this area is okay to play from, like if you're hiding in the Humvee, if you have a teammate baiting for you from, let's say, back of sight or the window, the enemy will be focused at your teammate who's shooting and baiting and distracting for you, and then once you're in this position, you can peek out from the side and make a really big play. But once you're here and the smoke dissipates, you're almost out of options. Like, you almost need to let the enemy commit and hope that they don't check this spot, because if they find out where you are, this is such a bad engagement for you to engage from, just because once they spot you in that position, you can't fall back anywhere. You're trapped in that position. There's nowhere you can go, and all they have to do is sit there posted up. They can have an op posted on you, they can nade stack you, throw a Molotov at you, they can do almost anything that they want, and you can't do anything to prevent it because you're stuck in that corner. It forces you to peek out, challenge them, and fight. And when you're in that position and you kind of are forced to play at a disadvantage by peeking out and trying to fight and engage them head on, you're more times than not, you're going to lose the round. It's better to have an AK in that type of one-on-one engagement than it is to have an M4. That one shot is going to help so much. Not only that, but you're basically peeking that one angle. Like, there's only one area you can come out of. They can be on the left side of the tunnels or the right side, and they can have multiple players watching you. So trapping yourself in the Humvee is very, very dangerous, as we're going to see throughout this demo. So I'm going to unpause it and watch again. It's the same setup at the start. Smoke, flash, good to stop a rush. But another thing that you have to point out, or that I have to point out, is that if the enemy actually were to rush and flash in, Ogedai would be in a position where he's forced to challenge. He's like fully committed to just brawling out with the enemy. He doesn't have anywhere to fall back to, and this brings me back to my initial point. It's better to be in the back of the site before this happens. It's better to be back in the back of the site, behind the boxes where you have cover and you can peek around the cover, in case the enemy actually pushes you. In this position here, once Ogedai has identified that there's no B rush or anything and he's in the back of the site, he's in a great position where he can jump over the boxes, jump up at the back of the site and spot tunnels a little bit. Once you kind of like force yourself in front of the big box and peek out into the tunnels, as we're going to see here, he gets opt. This wasn't really necessary from him, just to straight up peek this angle. He could jump up and spot the angle from behind big box, but as we're going to see here, he just peeks out and he gets killed completely off guard. Again, it's better to be at the back of the site, and what I'll do is I'll actually go into a server after and explain what I mean by jumping over the boxes and playing around with the obstacles back there. But as we're going to go into the next round, we're going to see actually, without the smoke, this is what happens when you don't pre-smoke. It allows the enemies to get out, and then they're able to just jump around and freely roam around the site. And the pre-smoke on B is the most important thing that you can do. It's more important than the flash, it's more important than a nade, it's more important than a helmet, it's the most important thing. Because the difference between that smoke, having that smoke and not having the smoke, is just enormous. So here we see the smoke again, the pre-flash. Again, Ogedai comes in his corner. It's okay this time, his teammate's in the site, he's baiting for him. At this position, Ogedai, it's okay to peek out when the smoke's up. It's okay, once you have that smoke up, you can get into a position, you can peek into the smoke and watch for enemies pushing out. So this was actually well played, having that teammate there. But I have a feeling that Ogedai was just playing it the same way he normally plays it, and he wasn't playing it off of his teammate. They're pushing into the tunnels. I don't understand the idea behind it, as his teammates were pushed off cat into mid and kind of knew that the enemies were going towards B. So pushing into the tunnels there actually gave up map control and let the terrorists get into the bomb site. The next round comes up. Same smoke, same flash, same position. Again, his teammates here kind of making distraction. That's okay. But you never want to get into the habit of playing the exact same way round after round after round. And while people in like Faceit or matchmaking won't pick it up, once you start playing in league games or practice with your teams, players will pick up on these habits. They'll understand your patterns, they'll know you go there every round, and they'll start to directly counter you. So it's often good to play from different positions every round. So it's okay to smoke, it's okay to throw that one flash, but try playing around these boxes where you're just playing right now. The other thing is, you threw a nade into the tunnels really early. You don't need to start throwing everything that you have really early into the round. The problem with wasting all of your utility grenades early on in the round is that you want to make sure that they are used to their maximum efficiency. So throwing a grenade into the tunnels here, luckily you did a lot of damage to this BRT player, but you didn't know that he was there. They didn't make noise, they didn't shoot their guns. There's one person shooting a Glock in the tunnels, but he wasn't where you needed. No one was making footsteps. They had no reason to believe that there were any players there. So instead of using the grenade then, and only dealing damage to one player, it's often better to save it for when you know that there's actually a cluster of players, or where you're almost guaranteed to deal damage. So if they start spamming through the smoke, and then you throw the grenade at them, you know for a fact that there was a player there because you're spamming through the smoke. When you throw the smoke this round and the round prior, you didn't know any enemies were there. The round prior, you actually did no damage, there was no enemy there, and this round, you naded a guy, but you spammed exactly where he was, and he was on eco, so that had no effect. A lot of the time, though, you're going to end up wasting utility grenades that you can be using, saving for more opportune moments. You can be saving the flashes for more opportune moments. For example, when they actually execute onto your bomb site, that's when you want to be saving at least one of your flashes for. You don't want to be out of grenades 30 seconds into the round, because that's going to make it very difficult for you to hold the site. After, like, it helps you holding the rush, but if there's no rush and they're delaying the rush, you can't retake a site. Let's say they go A, you can't retake the bomb site. Right here, you've naded, mollied, smoked, flashed, everything. You've thrown everything into the B tunnels. You've got absolutely nothing left. All you've got is your gun. Now you have nothing to help you get up mid here. You have nothing to help you if the enemy takes up cat or takes up long and takes the bomb site. You have nothing to use to retake. So you're in a very difficult situation here where you're relying solely on your gun and your aim. And that's a very bad position to be in. So fast forwarding again, we're seeing the same pattern every round. You come in, you smoke, you flash, you nade, you move, you rotate out, and it's the same thing every round. This is a better position to be in to fight from, but here's when you need a flash. And had you saved the nade right now and you naded the tunnels, right there you're going to hit 2 to 3 targets. If you saved one of your flashes, you're going to be able to flash them and get yourself out of this sticky situation. You're fearing that they're coming middle to split you in B from the window, from the doors, and from the tunnels. This is a perfect position where you need to isolate one of the areas and just focus on the other. So you isolate mid. You either focus on mid entirely and you ignore tunnels, or you focus on tunnels entirely and you ignore middle. And in this position, you've trapped yourself in the back of the site with no utility grenades to work with because you used everything 30 seconds into the round. And if you actually needed the tunnels here, you could get 2 kills. You get a double kill with the grenade. If you saved a flash here, you would have been able to peek them when they're blind. But instead, you're in this difficult position where you're forced to engage in an aim duel. And what happens here is you're too busy focusing on mid, and you're not focusing on tunnels, and you get shot on the side when you're not paying attention. So right there, that just shows and signifies the importance of actually saving your grenades in these opportunities. I want to fast forward to round 13. You have an op this round, and you're going to peek mid at the start. Now, that's okay to peek mid at the start. You're leaving B open for a little bit, which makes you susceptible to a B rush. Now, as you come over to B, this smoke is a little bit late. Like, if the enemies were actually to rush this bomb site, they would have already been in by now, and the smoke is going to be too late. Like, they would already be past it, and you probably would have been shot as you're throwing it. Now, the other thing I wanted to point out is that you actually have an op in this situation, and it's better if you have an op in this situation to actually just keep scoped on the tunnels the entire time and pick them, because most of the time the terrorists who are going to be working that position will have rifles just spotting for information, and the oppers would be somewhere around middle, T-spawn, long, or cat. And it's very rare that the enemy would be actually B with the op. The only time they would do that is if they had a forward B spawn and they were trying to lead in for a pick with their teammates following behind them. Now, as we're going to watch, as you're watching into the smoke with an op, you're kind of making the whole purpose of having the op here kind of redundant. Like, you're not supposed to op into smokes. You're supposed to op into open areas and let them peek you. You want the enemy to peek you because you have this position. There's too many angles for the terrorists to check, so you have the positional advantage on them. And if an opper peeks you, you'll have the positional advantage. You have the advantage to actually get the kill. That's why most of the maps are CT-sided, because you control the engagement. So if you're controlling the engagement with the op at the back of the site there, you do not want to smoke the tunnels off. You want to peek it. If there's no one there, you can flash into it and then move behind the box at the back of the site. So here I've gone into a server, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain how I would approach coming into the B bomb site to defend it without having a teammate supporting me. So the first thing I would want to do is I'd come into the bomb site and smoke off the tunnels, but instead of moving up close up into the engagement area where the terrorists are going to be coming out and fighting me head on, I want to come to the back of the site where I can use this box in front of me to dance around and peek into the tunnels with. If there are no enemies coming out through that smoke, I'm going to take the opportunity to move behind the headshot box at the back of the platform and this will allow me to pop my head up and down to see if there are any enemies approaching the bomb site. If I can see an enemy coming to the bombs into the tunnels and I need to engage with them, I can take a few pop shots where I can see their entire body and they can only see my head, and by me crouching up and down and waiting a few seconds in between peaks, I control the engagement in this position. If I see that the terrorists are moving up and closing in on me, I can call for my teammates to come close and flash into the tunnels for me to peek up and peek the enemy. Or I could ask my teammates to flash for me. If the very worst case scenario arises, I can flash for myself and move out of the position. It's always nice to be in the back of the site here, where you can always force the enemies to commit into the bomb site, where instead of them having to only focus on one angle here, they have to focus on an enemy being behind the box at the back of the site, or the back of the platform rather, a person peeking in from the window, a person peeking in from the doors, or someone who's peeking around one of the various site boxes. Not to mention, you could be hiding here waiting to peek out, and they also have to be worried about this as well. So when the enemy approaches the bomb site and they fully commit to the site, this is the prime moment for you to strike, get yourself a free kill without them being able to retaliate to you, and then you can move around, shift positions, and then take a different angle and a different engagement. Also, once you're in this position and you get your opening kill, this is a prime opportunity for you to throw a grenade at them and deal massive damage to multiple enemies while asking your teammate to come and support you. So you can see, being at the back of the bomb site in this position allows you to move around, take better engagements, but also stay alive longer for your teammates to actually come and support you by coming in from middle and throwing flashbangs into the bomb site, which will blind any enemies who are coming out from the tunnels.